Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and very good morning. My name is Muhammad Farizul Hakimi bin Shafizan. I am from ED249 Education in Mathematics semester 1. Now I will do the introduction speech practice 1. I will talk about corruption or match fixing in Malaysia football. Corruption, as defined by the World Bank, is a form of dishonesty or criminal offence undertaken by a person or organisation entrusted with a position of authority to acquire illicit benefit or abuse power for one's private gain. Firstly, we all have heard about the glory days of Malaysia football, especially in the 1970s and in the 1980s. But despite uh, during that time, our highest ever FIFA ranking was in 1993. We were ranked at 79 out of 157. Uh, uh, it's a great success for our Malaysia football. We are top 100. No, we are top 80 in the world at that time. Uh, but in March 2018, it was a black mark on Malaysia football industry when Malaysia is ranked 174th out of 209 countries registered with FIFA. It is the lowest ranking ever in the history of Malaysian football. For me, this happened because the corruption and match fixing uh, that happened in Malaysia at that time. Uh, in 1984, one of journalists in Malaysia, which columnist B. Suresh Ram, said that years after we went from being amateurs to semi-professional and professional players, the national team seemed to have taken a turn for the worse. The match fixing scandal in 1994 did not help. It saw 21 players and coaches sacked, 58 players suspended, and 126 players questioned over corruption involving match fixing. It's obviously a huge number of people involved that time. But what actually happened during the 1994 match fixing scandal? For those who don't know the term, match fixing is when a sport match is played to achieve a semi-fixed or fixed result. For example, someone tells a footballer to make sure his next match ends in a draw. In the game, the footballer's team is winning 1-0. So he makes a mistake to allow the other team to score. Stuff like this is good money for the bookies, but it's obviously bad for any sport. The match fixing scandal was revealed in Malaysia at that time by the FM secretary, which is secretary that year, Dr. Ibrahim Saad. In that year, he went to a Malaysian League match involving the Penang team. When he entered the stadium, he found out that some fans are show some sign of the final scoreline where it seemed that they know the game would end and which team would win. And even worse, the fan also knows the first player to get a yellow card. And after the game end, what the fan show him end up happened. After the match, he felt courage and he was moved to report to the police and anti-corruption body to investigate the football team under FAM at the time. And after the report had made, one by one, match fixing scandal was revealed. And at that time, 100 players and coaches was called by the police to be investigated. And at that time, it was reported that among the players suspended, uh, a number of them were among Malaysia's best. Among these names were national players like Azizul Habu Hanifah, Maklan Marjan, P. Ravindran, Reman Ragunathan, and others. For your information, Maklan Marjan, he is one of the Malaysia legend. He is one of Sabah legend and Malaysia legend. He is one that scored 2 goals against England in friendly match. For me, it's very disappointed since we lost a player that very talented, that can give something for our country. Uh, then next, due to the scandal, there are several teams that were severely affected, including Selangor and Perak. For example, Perak had lost 6 key players, and the team was nearly destroyed due to the absence of those players. Uh, After the recently, FAM had lifted the ban on 84 players from the 1994 scandal. Something that was condemned by many people, but others also say that it's fair to give them a second chance because 22 years on, the practice along that time, the practice match fixing is still rampant, and it would unfair to continue to punish them when so many others get away with it. In a conclusion, for me to fix this problem, it's not easy. What we can do is what we can do to get away with what we can do is to educate people. I think people in the football industry should be educated on values and ethics, and we need to give harsh punishment for anyone that involved in match fixing. Other than that, I think we need to fight to combat match fixing together with fans and players, because at the end of the day, the ones that are taken advantage of the most is not the players or coaches or officials, but the fans who love their football. That's all for me. Thank you.